You know, we all hear about the Garden of Eden and its 4 rivers. But have you ever stopped to think about the very first one mentioned? It holds a secret. It's not just some landmark on an ancient map. Its name, Pishon, is actually a hidden blueprint for provision and increase. It's a formula that is just as relevant today as it was at the dawn of time. So, right away, the Bible paints this picture of Pishon as this source of incredible wealth. I mean, it talks about a land just overflowing with pure gold and precious stones. This river is clearly a big deal, a source of immense value. But here's a thought. What if the real treasure isn't the gold and onyx? What if it's actually hidden right there in the name itself? And that, right there, leads to a pretty fascinating question. What if Pishon isn't a place you're supposed to find on a map, but a process you're meant to follow? A kind of divine formula for how provision actually works in our lives. That's the code we're about to crack.
Okay, so to unlock this whole mystery, we've got to go back to the very beginning, right? To the source. And in this case, that's the word's Hebrew root. This is the foundation that gives the entire word its core meaning. So, let's see what we find.
The root word for Pishon is push, and this word is just bursting with energy. It means to spread, to scatter, to increase, to spring forth. It's an active, dynamic word that suggests movement and growth, not something that's just sitting still. But you know, there's a really important detail here. Push isn't just random scattering, it's intentional. It's like a farmer who doesn't just throw seeds to the wind, right? He carefully and intentionally scatters them, because the whole purpose of the scattering is multiplication. You release what you have so it can come back to you in an even greater measure. All right, now this is where things get really cool. In ancient Paleo-Hebrew, every single letter was also a picture, a symbol that told its own little story. So the name Pishon isn't just a collection of sounds, it's a sentence. It's a story told in pictures, a code hidden in plain sight. So let's start breaking this code down letter by letter. First up, we have Pe. Its picture is a mouth, and its meaning is absolutely foundational to this whole process. Simple enough, right? A mouth. And what do mouths do? They speak, they communicate. In a biblical context, this is huge. It represents the immense creative power of the spoken word, that divine declaration that brings things into existence. Everything starts when something is spoken.
Okay, so the next piece of our puzzle is the letter Yod, and its picture is a hand. So we're going from the mouth to the hand.
See that? From the spoken word to the actual work. Yod represents action, power, the execution of a plan. It's about turning a spoken declaration into something real, something tangible. A word alone is just sound, but a word with a hand behind it, that's got some real power.
Okay, our third letter is Shin, and its picture is 2 front teeth. Now I know what you're thinking, that sounds a little strange, but stick with me here. Think about what teeth actually do.
Well, they consume, they press, they sharpen. This symbolizes a process of refinement, a necessary pressure that tests and purifies. Think about it like the intense heat that purifies gold. It's not about destroying something, it's a crucial step that prepares something for its true purpose.
All right, next up we have Vav, and its picture is a nail or maybe a tent peg. And the job of a nail is simple, but it's also incredibly profound.
And what does a nail do? It fastens things together. It makes them secure. This letter represents connection, security, and covenant. So after the word has been worked and it's been pressed, this is the step where the promise is secured, literally nailed down and made unshakable.
And that brings us to the final letter, which is kind of the grand finale of this whole process. It's the letter Nun, and its picture is a sprouting seed.
A seed is pure potential, right? It's all about new life, about continuation, about multiplication. It's the fruitfulness and the generational blessing that shows up as the ultimate outcome of this whole journey. So, are you ready for this? When we put all of those pictures together, the letters of Pishon spell out a sentence, a story. It says, the spoken word works through pressure to secure multiplication. That is the secret of the river. It's not a location. It is a powerful divine principle.
So you see, Pishon isn't just a word, it's a spiritual blueprint. It's literally showing us the step-by-step process for how divine provision works. Let's lay it out, step by step.
And just look at how perfectly this lines up with the letters we just decoded.
First, it all begins with a spoken word, a promise. Then, God's hand begins to work on it. After that, the promise goes through a period of pressing and testing to refine it. Once it's proven, God secures it through covenant. And finally, that fulfilled promise becomes a seed that multiplies for generations to come.
Okay, that's all incredible stuff, right? But the big question is, what does this ancient blueprint mean for you, for me, right here, right now? How do we tap into this flow of Pishon in our own lives? Well, it turns out the divine process has a parallel human response.
Well, for us, it all starts by receiving that word, that promise for our own life. Then comes our part, the work. Faith always needs our action. And then, inevitably, a season of pressure will come, but we can endure it, knowing it's a vital part of the process. And through it all, we trust that the promise will be secured in the right timing. And finally, when that provision shows up, we recognize it for what it truly is, not an endpoint, but a seed that we're meant to steward for even greater multiplication.
You know, this verse just perfectly captures this final crucial step. Did you catch that? Pressed down. Even the blessing that flows back is one that has gone through the process. Your act of giving, of stewarding what you have, kicks off a cycle of return that is abundant and overflowing. This is the Pishon principle in action.
So here's the thought I want to leave you with. The flow of Pishon doesn't stop with you. It's designed to flow through you. Every provision, every blessing you receive